Some of you know we've got some construction going on, adding on to the shop over here. And I don't know who it is, but one of these construction workers never fails, comes in and steals my tape measure. Thought those guys, like had a permanently attached tape measure on their hip, but for some reason they keep taking mine. It may be meathead. Doesn't sound like something meathead would do. I mean, he's welcome to use anything I own. Tape measure's never where I left it. Which is kind of, in all honesty, it's kind of a hard claim to make because you guys know nothing is ever where I think I left it. I'm the world's worst about laying something down, not remembering where I put it. But I've got the oven doing its first fire right this minute, doing its burn in. It's going to take a few hours, so I've got some more mindless stuff to do, some cutting and stuff like that on some raw steel. I got to get cut out and shaped. But this particular knife is a 100% custom build. Not going to share that because I don't have permission. But it's a 100% custom build for a guy that's been in the community for a long time. So, yeah, I got to get started on this. Should have already started on it in all honesty, but with all the setbacks I've had, and guys, any of you who are waiting on me for a knife, I really apologize about all these setbacks. I've spent all the money I can spend to try to alleviate those in the future, but I don't see a measuring device of any kind. I had a framing square. Oh, there's the square right there. The problem is with this square is I can't read the damn thing. Oh, well, my glasses on, I can. I guess that's slightly more convenient. Maybe I can use that. But that was my viewer bought tape measure. One of you guys bought me. Purely as a smart ass joke, but I still appreciate it. If you weren't here for that, I used a engineer's tape to do some measuring one night and had no idea that an engineer's tape had yards on one side, tenths of yards. So I screwed it all up. No big deal. Just made a little longer knives than what I was planning, but didn't get as many knives as I was planning either. So what we're doing here, I'm getting ready to lay out just with a Sharpie. Probably gonna have to do this several times before I get it right. I'm getting ready to measure out and draw this shape onto this steel so I can get it cut out. Man, we got 23 in here already. Wow. What's up, Aiden? It happens, Shane. Don't beat yourself over it. People understand. I appreciate that, Aiden. I really do. But I've had this piece of steel for a while. This is a nice thick chunk of 8670 that I'm making for somebody in the community, making a big hog sticker. So I'm going to get that knife cut out, and I'm going to have some steel left over. Now, guys, this isn't going to be one of my super, what am I saying? The leftover steel from this is not going to be anything super thin, super high edge retention. But if you've ever wanted something super tough that you could pry with, that you could fight a bear with, man, whatever it is that your imagination can come up with, now would be the time to order it, because I've got, like I said, I've got this 1/4 inch thick 8670, one of the toughest steels on the planet, that I'm going to have some excess left over. I've got some ideas. I know I want to do a couple of push daggers. I don't think they'll sell. I like push daggers. I want to make one for myself, keeping the door panel of my truck, road rage incident, somebody wants to reach in, I can make them regret it. But yeah. So if you've had any ideas of ordering something from me that's going to be thick and super tough and you're not worried about it being super slicey or, K390 edge retention or any of that crap, now would be the time. And don't tell me on here because I'll miss it. Hit me up in my DMs. We'll get you. This also would be a good time if you wanted something thick and tough that you want to design. You draw it. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to be a professional artist, man. Just draw out kind of what you want. Give me some length parameters, and we'll go from there. I want to pre-apologize if I'm keeping anybody from Pocket Metals. That was not the plan. I had some pain issues last night. Kept me up all night. Actually, was talking to Pocket Metal most of the night, but it kind of ruined my scheduling. I ended up sleeping all day because of it. But fortunately, the weather's not too bad. The weather's not too bad, so it's still just 50 something degrees in here, so I can still work tonight. I don't know exactly what this oven is doing. I guess it's doing its initial burn-in. It just went to 200 degrees for a short amount of time. But in case you're wondering what the burn is on an oven, the heating elements in this thing, kind of like your knife, need to be oxidized to protect them from harmful vapors in the future. You don't ever put anything in here, any kind of chemical agent in here, because the vapors from it can actually shatter those heating elements. So what this is doing is getting them hot, letting them cool off, getting them hotter, letting them cool off, getting them even hotter, letting them cool off. And it does that to oxidize those heating elements that are in each side of it to prolong the life of them. So nothing I can do while it's doing that. It doesn't need me for that. So I've still got some learning to do on this thing. So yeah, now we got to run it up to 500 degrees. You can kind of hear it popping in there every now and then. It's going to have to get to 500 degrees, and then it's going to go to 1,000, 1,500. It's got a lot of cycles to go through tonight, so. I'll be proud when it's actually ready for me to do my first legit heat treat on. Apologize that I maybe some moments of silence. I've got to. I apologize, guys. This isn't quarter. This is 3/16, 8670. I've got to stop and read here and there. Make sure I get these specifications right. Really nothing fancy to see here. I'm just going to be making some initial parameters for like where the handle's going to start and stop, things like that. I didn't think to ask the guy that's contracting this big ass blade if it was okay to talk about. He hasn't really been advertising it or talking about it much in the live stream, so I'm trying to honor his silence there. 3 inches plus or minus. And I get my French curves. If you guys are interested in making your own knife design, whether you have me make it or not, I will highly recommend one thing that you do is very cheap on Amazon. You can go on there. I'm sure they're made in China, but these French curves, these are used by artists of all kinds. It just gives you a lot of different curves and radiuses that, naturally by hand, you're probably not going to draw that well, unless you're just super talented. But yeah, it just gives you something to kind of work off of and be able to make a good looking design. Like the sweep on the back of this handle, instead of trying to freehand that in, I use that to give me a more precise, more of a precise curve. Now I'm going to draw this front line kind of straight, but it's actually going to have finger grooves in it. But for right now, I just need to know kind of where to cut. So that's 3/4 of an inch. So we'll go 3/4 of an inch here. If you guys are familiar with any of my knives, if you look at this sweep here, that is the spine of the Heathen. That's all it is. And I'm not embarrassed or ashamed to admit that, because that's all it is on everybody's knives. Almost all knife designers use French curves. If you've been around in the community for a while, you'll remember Lindy and Richie teaching us that almost all of them are using French curves in their design. I already don't like that straight line. I don't want it to give me any false pretenses later. I'm actually going to match it. With this curve and cut my finger grooves into it from there. This may be a little wide in the end, but whenever you guys see me rough cut something, it's typically a couple of % bigger than what it's going to be when I get done. I like to leave a little extra on the edges just for decarb and stuff like that happens during heat treat. A lot of people will tell you it's not that big a deal. I remove at least a millimeter. That's why you'll notice whenever I rough cut out a knife, the tip is a lot of times blunt. I don't go ahead and put that fine needle tip on there because I'm gonna regrind that anyway. I just don't trust. I don't trust that steel. When I'm done with it, I just don't trust it. So always draw everything out just a little larger than what it's actually going to be. Because I'm going to grind and remove some of it eventually. This steel is not wanting to take Sharpie for some reason. I know I pre-cleaned it. It may be my Sharpie though. I may have got a little oil on it. Now it's not wanting to write. You can never own one. When you're knife making, it never fails. Right when you need it, it's going to fail you. Probably best to keep at least 4 or 5 on hand all the time. And I don't at this moment. I'm saying that even though I'm not practicing what I preach. Because that one is not working. What the blue one is. We'll go from there. You see, I just put a straight line in here. I don't know if you guys can see any of that. I just did a straight line for the spine. The spine's not actually going to be straight, but I kind of need to know. I kind of need to know where to start and stop. It's just kind of setting my perimeters. How wide do you want this blade? Small chamfering corners, edges, edge continues over clip. Some, gotcha. Control that doesn't snag, got that. It didn't really have a, he didn't write down an exact blade width, but this isn't going to be the exact blade width anyway, because I am going to remove some, so I'm just going to make it a little wide. I do have to add some slight recurve in here by the time it's all said and done. I'm not experienced with heavy recurve. I can do some slight recurve. Something like a karambit or something is not my thing just yet. Because this isn't really a cutting knife. This is a stabbing knife. This is made for sticking a pig in the heart, putting it on the ground at the dogs bay it. If you're proud member of PETA, I apologize for that. So she's up to 491 degrees. She's going to reach 500 and hold that for 15 minutes or 5 minutes. Then it's going to go to 1,000 degrees for 30 minutes, then 1,500 for an hour. Guys, that box is not even warm to touch. It is so insulated. There is no heat escaping from that. I can barely tell a difference in room temperature right back here. Just barely. I can feel a slightest bit of warmth. So, tells you how insulated that is. So now that I've kind of got the parameters of this, it's not fine-tuned by any means. I can at least go get this piece of steel cut out and go from there. I want to do my overall measurement because he's got down here 12.875 to, yeah, I'm a tad over 13 right now, which is fine because, like I said, everything's going to be 1 to 2% actually smaller than I cut it out at. So I'm going to move you guys over here to the grinder. We're going to make some noise and some sparks. Darn man lift is not in my way. Get that out of there. Find my grinder, cutting wheel. Came in yesterday, did some cleanup while I was here. Of course, now I'm not gonna know where anything is. All right, watch your eyes, guys. Flip it over, cut the other side. Sorry about that. And make a little more room in there. Well, guys, I guess I'm going to go and answer these phone calls. One of them looks important. I'll be back in a few minutes. Sorry.